All right. My next one is only one season.
Okay.
Probably will not be more.
Okay.
It is also an HBO show. Created by Damon Lindelof,
Okay.
which was Watchmen.
Oh, it's newer.
It's new.
Yeah.
It was just aired in October of 2019.
Yeah. I've heard great things.
So I watched the first. So I don't know. Did you ever see the Watchmen movie?
Yeah.
So the Zack Snyder movie, which I didn't hate. A lot of people did.
A lot of people love it. I'm not a huge fan, but
yeah, I was not a huge fan. It was fine.
here nor there.
I never read the graphic novel. So this one comes out and I watched the trailer and I was like, I have no idea whether I'm going to like this or not. And I watched the first 6 episodes. And at that point, anybody who I talked to, I was like, I want to talk about this show, but I can't tell you whether I'm going to recommend it or not.
Right.
Because there's so many questions going on. It's like a Damon Lindelof thing where it's like a mystery box kind of thing where you don't totally know what's going to happen. And then the last 3 episodes totally landed it. And I was like, oh my God, this is one of the best seasons I've ever seen.
Wow.
So I don't want to oversell it. If you're, it's very comic booky.
But I have heard really great things.
It is so well done. The way he builds the worlds. And The Watchmen was this set, I can't remember if it's set in the 60s or 70s, but this takes place like 30 years later.
Okay.
So it's still based off that same story in the same world, but it's not a reboot. It's not like the same exact thing. It's basically like 40 years later.
Oh, I like that.
All these things are happening. And it takes place mostly in Tulsa.
Okay.
And it's centered around this. There was this massacre in Tulsa in 1921, which was apparently a real event that I didn't know about, where essentially the Klan really like targeted African Americans and wiped out a ton of people. And it was one of those historical events that you go, how did I not know about this? Yeah. And then now in present day, there's been some additional violence against police officers, and now police officers wear masks so that you can't tell their identity. So that the criminals don't kill them, essentially.
Yeah.
And then you have people like Regina King, who's the star of the show, who is pretending to be like a chef, I think, or a baker or something, but she actually is still a cop.
I heard she's really good in it.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's so good. Don Johnson is in it, Tim Blake Nelson, Yahya Abdul Mateen II, which I may be butchering, but I think he's about to blow up. He was awesome. He's in the new Jordan Peele movie.
Yep. Yeah. I was I've heard people talk about him a lot lately, and I saw that trailer too.
Yes. Yeah. He's fantastic. Jeremy Irons and Gene Smart are also in it. So
it's a great cast.
It's one of those things where like literally the first 7 episodes you're going, what the fuck is going on? I have no idea. And then by the end it was like, it was one of the better endings of a shows that I've ever seen. And he says he's not going to do any more. Who knows? That might change, but it was just that 9 episodes. And it was just there are little moments at the beginning of certain episodes where it takes place in like, I don't want to get this wrong, but I think it's like Vietnam in like the 60s or 70s.
Okay.
And in 3 minutes, the filmmaking of the world that they build, where the things that they show and how they actually set up this world and create it is just so well done. There's an episode that's largely like just, I don't want to give anything away, but like skewing perspective as someone is seeing all these memories and stuff. And it's just brilliant. Like it's really, really different and really, it was really exciting to watch. So
good.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah. It's one of those that I've heard a lot about lately. Yeah. I didn't know he was only doing 1 season though.
Yeah, he said he's not doing any more. So, I mean,
creative licenses. I mean,
money says things. Who knows? He may change, or someone else might come on and do a different take, whatever. But his big thing, I guess, was that he wanted this to be stand on its own, and I think it really does. So it's really good. But they also left it open. They could do more if they wanted to.
If they wanted.
Yes, but it is a complete story. So it's like a 9-hour movie. It's great.
Well, I suppose that might be a good segue then into a show that I'm almost positive we both have on our list.
All right.
If you're ready to talk about this show.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Fleabag.
Fleabag.
Which is only 2 seasons.
Yeah.
First season premiered in 2016. And then the second season didn't premiere until 2019. So there was a gap there. And a lot of that is also the same, where she was only going to do 1 standalone season. And then I think the story, she just figured out a way to make the story continue and then end in season 2, which and I know we've talked about this, I think season 2 is like one of the greatest seasons of a show ever. And I think the ending couldn't be more perfect, no matter how heartbreaking it is. I think it's a beautiful, like, I don't know, beautiful way to end a series. You talk about, it's on your list too. So
it is on my list too.
Do give the log line and what it's about.
Yep, it is. So she did this as a one-woman play. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the creator of the show, star of the show, everything.
I'm obsessed with her.
She did it as a one-woman play that, if I read right, was like originally just like 10 minutes, and then she made it into a full play, and then it became a play in London, and then eventually in Broadway as well.
Over here.
And this was not my point. I'd seen someone else say this, but it's one of those shows where it's really funny, but it's also really emotional, and gut-wrenching at parts. And
it's characterized as a tragic comedy.
Yeah.
When you see like
and what I don't remember who wrote this, but they said, it starts off, you think you're watching one show, and then you realize you're watching a different show. And it's not like a big twist. It's not like there's just a big twist. It's like,
there are twists,
but it's more than that. It's more complex. And you realize that there are layers to what's going on with her. I don't know what the log line is, other than she's like she's just Londoner who's trying to run a cafe that's themed like hamsters or gerbils and
guinea pigs.
Yes. Sorry, I should know my rodents. She's trying to run a cafe, and it's just about her dealing with her family, and
she's going through some trauma and some losses, and she kind of manifests that like sadness and anger into a lot of like sexual prowess. But at the same time, it's just her coping through grief and kind of learning to love herself, I think, by the end. I think is kind of, figuring out how to deal with everything and moving on and becoming like a whole person. And I think it's just, I could go on and on and on about this. And it is one of the more recent shows that I've watched, so it's very fresh in my brain right now.
Sure.
But I think even if I had watched it, if it had come out 3 years ago, and I think it's still going to top my list because it's just great. I don't.
Season 2, I watched in a night.
Yeah,
in one night.
Me too.
It's 6 episodes, and it was just straight through.
There's only 12 episodes, 6 in each season. So really, it's like a 3-hour movie, because I think a lot of the, if I do some math, it's only like 20, 25 minutes per episode.
Right.
So it's a quick watch, an easy watch, but it's just so meaningful in so many different ways. And I think I'm not really anything like Fleabag, yet I can empathize with a lot of what she's going through, and just like going through your 20s, just not really knowing what you're doing and just trying to navigate. And I think it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. A lot of surprises. Yeah. Really, really well written.
Such great writing, and so many like nuanced like character reactions, and just things like, just the way she writes these characters, even some of the smaller ones. It's just like she just gives you what you need to know, and it's perfect.
We have talked about the fact that she breaks the fourth wall a lot.
Yeah,
constantly.
That's
which
kind
is
of
kind
her
of the thing.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know that I've ever seen it done better.
No, because people talk about, there are some shows that do it and definitely don't do it as well as she does it, and whether it's like, I know we've said like a crutch or not for certain, characters in certain shows, but I don't see it like this at all. We're just, the audience is kind of like another character in the story. We're involved.
Yeah, it's part of the show.
It is part of the show.
It's part of the story, the way she does it. So,
and you feel like you're in her world, and it's brilliant.
And it's pretty, as we've talked about also, it's pretty impressive how she acts.
Yes.
The fact that she's jumping around from talking to camera to being funny, to being serious, to being everything. So
it's difficult to do. Yeah. Can only imagine.
We could gush for hours about
I could. I probably should have left that for the
No, it's a good one. That's a good one.